Hi everyone and welcome to our video for this week. It's Thursday the 30th of May. As ever, I hope that you're keeping well. I hope you had a lovely bank holiday weekend and also that you're looking forward to the weekend that is fast approaching. This morning I was reading the very first chapter of the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, which tells us of how the world was created. Now those of you who are familiar with the passage will know that the world was created in stages, in steps. First of all, the heavens and the planets, Earth, are created. Then we have the atmosphere. Then we have the land and the sea. Then on the land we have the plants and the trees. Then we have the sun and moon. Then we have the birds of the air and the fish of the sea. Then it's the animals. And finally, it's us, humans. We are created. Now, in each stage of creation, it tells us that God speaks. So as an example of that, I'm going to read to you a little bit of the passage. It's Genesis 14 to 19, and it's connected with the sun and moon. And God said, let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons, and for days and years. And let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. And God set them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, the fourth day. Now, what happens in Scripture when God speaks? Things find purpose. They are given purpose. So essentially what is happening in this passage is the sun and moon are being given their purpose, which is twofold really. First of all, their purpose is to give light on the earth, and also to provide sort of like the cycle of life, the days, the years, the seasons, as it's described in the passage, which we know in our very lives today throughout our year, that cycle that enables things to grow so that we can eat them. And towards the end of the first chapter of Genesis, it tells us of that in action about how God will continue to provide for people. In those early days, it's fruit from the trees, and also things of the field like carrots and potatoes and things like that, things that grow, that this seasonal cycle enables to happen. So just this picture of ongoing provision that's enabled by God through what he's setting up during creation. So I think it's pretty clear from this passage that not only is God the creator, he's also the sustainer of life. And at the end of that first chapter of Genesis, everything is, if I may use the expression, hunky-dory, as it should be. God is the sustainer, and he's sustaining for all his creation. He's providing for them. Now, unfortunately, a couple of chapters later, that situation changes when Adam and Eve are fooled by the serpent and give in to temptation to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And by doing that, essentially, they're turning from God's authority, they're turning from his sustenance, and they're taking it into their own hands. They're like saying, no, we don't need to listen to what God says. We can go our own way. And the human race has essentially fallen that path ever since. That's been the effects of the fall. Too often as humans, we put ourselves in the position of God. We try and rule creation. And it's a role that we were never meant to occupy as humans. We get all these power-hungry dictators who see themselves as God, as all-powerful. It was a role they were never designed for. They can't do it. None of us can do it. But unfortunately, as humans, we all have a propensity to go our own way, to act as if we can choose our own way in life, and that we don't necessarily need to look to God and his sustenance in our lives. But what Scripture tells us is that's not a very wise thing to do, that we should look to God as much as we can in our lives to sustain us, to guide us, to help us. Now, none of us is perfect at that. But of course, what we try and do as Christians is we try and sort of lean that way. We try to listen to God, to be guided by him, to be provided for by him. And what Christians believe is that we are essentially being led to a place where we'll be back at that first stage, where we are where we should be, living a beautiful existence, being provided for and cared for and watched over by the Lord. Free from wrong choices, just trusting God and his sustenance for our existence. Which sounds amazing, and I'm certainly glad as a Christian that that is the bright future that God promises us through his Son, Jesus Christ. So it's a promise of a bright future, but as I say, as we are as humans, we do all have that propensity to look to do things our own way. So, and when we find ourselves doing that, the best thing to do is to turn to Jesus and say, yep, I've done it again. I've looked to go my own way. Please lead me back to where I need to be. And because he loves us and is faithful to us, he will. Okay, so I really hope that God helps you to find his purpose for you in your life. So that's the video for this week. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll speak to you again soon. Do take care. Bye.